Hello everyone, welcome to Anime No Mi, and thank you for joining us for another One Piece video. In today's video, we're going to talk about the upcoming chapter of One Piece 1046 and potential leaks that have been released. From there, we're going to talk about the events that'll occur, a little bit about the fight between Luffy and Kaido, and any other important events that could be happening in this upcoming chapter. Please remember that although this is leaked information, we won't have the complete information for this chapter, just some small fragments. So make sure you follow the channel if you want to know more information about this and other chapters of One Piece, and also news from chapter 1046 as they come out this week. But before we dive into the video, if you're new to the channel, we'd be absolutely honored if you consider leaving us a like or even subscribing with a comment letting us know what you thought of the video. It really helps us out and motivates us to make more content. And if you'd like to help out the channel in a larger way, consider sharing this video with a friend. Without further ado, let's get into the video. So friends, based on the leak in this chapter, it seems like Raizo is going to be featured heavily, as we've said in previous videos. And although we might get a little bit of information about what's going on in Luffy and Kaido's fight, it's far from over, so we can expect that in coming chapters we'll see a bit more about what's going on there. It was said that in the first few pages of the chapter, or maybe even panels, there will be a little bit of focus on the fight between Luffy and Kaido. Now we don't know the full detail about what's going on in the battle between the two. After all, this is based on a text leak, so we don't have all the information in a detailed way. However, we can deduce that during these scenes seen in these 5 pages of the manga, we can imagine that the leader of the pirate beast, Yonko Kaido, must be able to stand back up after Luffy's big attack. With Kaido's recovery, we should see that the fight will still be continuing between he and Luffy, and that they're still both excited to fight. After all, in the previous chapters, we see that Kaido has expressed a smile on his face, a very different smile than the ones we've seen in prior chapters. And since the beginning of the Wano arc, we know that this battle has brought him more joy and truly makes him excited. Because if you think about it, Luffy may be the only one that has ever managed to get Kaido to abandon this serious expression on his face all these years. For every time Kaido's come up against an opponent, he's always kept a very serious or angry expression. It's only when he's intoxicated did this expression change considerably, but still at certain times, he has become angry in combat. After all, for Kaido, all fights have just been kind of a waste of time for him, because he is the strongest creature in the world. However, we can imagine that Kaido will be much more serious about the dialogues and revelations, while Luffy should just keep smiling and saying funny things. Going back to the other leaks, in the next 9 pages of the manga, they'll be showing us Raizo, Jinbei, Sanji, and Zoro, and it's very likely we'll be shown what each of them are doing now and their reactions to finding out what Luffy has been doing. After all, we know that they're really the only ones in the crew that are not together with the rest of their companions, and in this way they might not be able to exactly see what's happened with Luffy's powers now that he's awakened his devil fruit. Just for a quick reminder what happened in previous chapters, Raizo was fighting Fukurokujo, but in this last chapter we see that Raizo managed to defeat him, so we'll probably see him go to another location in Onigashima to help his companions, as well as help with the flames that have been burning this base to the ground. Now, Jinbei may be looking for other Straw Hat pirates after resting from his fight against Who's Who, but he might also be taking his time to meet up with the rest of the crew because he could be cleaning up other pirates that are left from Kaido's crew who are still on Onigashima, so it may take a moment for him to meet up with the rest of them. As for Sanji, we know that he was quite injured after his battle with Queen, but after awakening his Germa 66 powers, he may be able to recover a bit quicker from his injuries, so he might try to go to the place where this battle is happening between Luffy and Kaido. After all, it was Sanji who sat right up after Luffy had changed and was the first to notice that the awakening had happened. And finally, we'll have to check in on Zoro, who after defeating King was very gravely injured. And especially after taking the medicine from Zoe, we know that his injuries could in fact double. So as he's been in this mysterious stupor, we've seen a creature coming towards him as if it were a Reaper. Now we don't know who this mysterious being is, whether it's the real Grim Reaper or Death, or even an incarnation of Enma, but it may be in this chapter that it'll be revealed what happened to Zoro. And in the leaks, it's said that we'll see a scene where we have Sanji on one side and Zoro on the other. In this scene, we'll see Sanji saying something to Zoro while he's being taken away by Frankie, but Zoro is still unconscious, and most likely he's seeing this Reaper in his dreams, being the representation of his fear of losing his life without realizing his dream, or even worse, helping Luffy realize his dream. And as I just said, there's even the possibility that this Reaper is the embodiment of Enma. After all, Enma is the name of the king of the underworld, so even though it's only a sword, we see that it seems to be very different from the other swords that Zoro has possessed, and may even have its own consciousness. As we saw in Zoro's fight against King, Zoro somehow managed to create an even deeper bond with his sword, and this could mean that it's possible that now he may be seeing the real face of his sword in his subconscious. But back to the main subject of our video. It's also said that in this chapter that we'll have a conversation between Yamato and Momonosuke, and this dialogue involves something like the flame clouds. Now it could be that Kaido is somehow managing to keep up all of these flame clouds despite his fight, or it could be Momonosuke's power, or even Luffy's power. Now whether whether the conversation between Yamato and Momonosuke is about Onigashima, or Wano as a whole, or even the battle between Luffy and Kaido, we have to admit that the battle between Luffy and Kaido is only gonna end when Kaido accepts that Luffy is Joy Boy. And now that Luffy seems to have officially become Joy Boy, and he'll be able to do what Kaido never could do, maybe Kaido will accept his place and even go as far as to help him. As Kaido has said in previous chapters, there seems to be something very special in Wano, or something very special that's gonna happen. So Kaido may have some knowledge about Wano, and this knowledge may have led him to do all that he has done for his own benefit, but now he could actually pass this on to Luffy. Now, whether Kaido recognizes Luffy as the new Joy Boy or not, we know that this incredible fight is gonna have an epic ending, and it should end in Kaido's defeat. And through this defeat, Kaido can leave Wano and then go out to the sea to pursue other goals that didn't involve something that really involved evil. And then he could allow Luffy to obtain the title of Yonko. And as I said before, there's even the remote possibility that in the future, Kaido may ally himself with Luffy, not by joining the Straw Hats, but by wishing that the boy achieve his goal, since he would recognize that Luffy as worthy of finding the One Piece treasure. And then Kaido could ally himself with Luffy so that boy could achieve his dreams. And this is something that's not really unusual to see in One Piece. Enemies becoming allies at times, like when Crocodile helped Luffy in Marineford. So in these next few chapters, we'll see Kaido little by little recognizing Luffy as Joy Boy. In fact, on the subject of Marineford, we have to remember what Mihawk said about Luffy so many years ago, that he doesn't have some sort of special power, but he does have the ability to make allies of everyone he meets, and that is the most fearsome ability on the high seas. So it very well could be this magnetic piece of Luffy's personality that allows him to become victorious and liberate and save everyone living in Wano. But we don't know when this is exactly going to happen. So let's get back to what the spoiler was talking about, and it's Raizo's current goal to put out the fire that is burning down everything inside Onigashima. As we all know, these flames were created by Kanjuro after using his ultimate ability to summon a great flame spirit that began to burn everything down it touched. But Yamato managed to defeat this creature, thus stopping the disaster it was causing. Now, whether these flames are a part of Kanjuro's Devil Fruit ability or just where the fire got out of control, this is gonna become a big problem for everybody who's still on Onigashima. Now, whether they're fighting pirates or Kaido's allies, Raizo's main goal has got to be to put out the flames. As we know, Raizo has a Devil Fruit that allows him to create scrolls to store anything and then release them at a later time. And in Zou, we saw that he used this scroll to be able to store a gigantic amount of water that Zunisha used for bathing. So in this scroll, there is a big amount of water that he could use to put out the flames. But if Raizo just unleashes the water, it may not actually get the job done. So we could see a team up between Raizo and Jinbei, where Jinbei uses his Fishman karate to control the water and really amp up this technique. After all, it is said in this spoiler that Jinbei creates a kind of sea current throughout Onigashima to put out all the flames, and then they immediately must go to the upper floor to be reunited with their companions. That way, everyone could witness the end of the confrontation between Luffy and Kaido. After all, we know that the Straw Hats and allies would have already completed their goals and can move on top of Onigashima to finally see what's going on. And with the crew coming together to see this final phase of the battle, we may see that Kaido's defeat will actually be decreed by the narrator. And now that the Straw Hats are all able to move, well, except maybe Zoro, who's still unconscious, this might actually bring the end to the Wano arc. If Luffy manages to defeat Kaido and take his Yonko title, this may open up the opportunity for Luffy to evolve his goal and move on with his journey. But we still don't know what Zunisha's intentions are, so this may also complicate our end to this arc. Now, there are individuals in the community that believe that the Great Elephant is just gonna leave the island of Zou in Wano, but then what? What does this Great Elephant intend to do? What are his next goals? So we may just have to wait until we get the answers to these questions. But it may be that Zunisha still has a great purpose in the story of One Piece. After all, Zunisha was the companion of Joy Boy, who was a very important person that we still have yet to hear the whole story about. So perhaps in a future video, we'll have his identity and the full story finally revealed. Now, one last little interesting tidbit about the leak was speaking that Raizo may have already had this plan, because if you think back to the initial burning of the castle way back when Odin was executed, he may have thought that he didn't want to ever see this happen again. So perhaps Raizo already had his plan ready, and now he's gonna save everyone with this plan and see that nothing ever burns down again. But for now, let us know what you think about it. What do you think about these leaks? Do you think Zou might actually get left in Wano? Do you think that Raizo might actually have planned this out all along so that he can unleash his water and save the island? Let us know what you think in the comments below. So as we wrap up today's video, we want to thank you so much for watching until the very end. Make sure you comment comment on any themes or ideas that you'd like to see in future videos. And also, since you made it this far, give us a like as you head out to take on the rest of your day. Hope to see you all in our next video, and let's keep sailing this giant sea together. Take care.